to Screensavers, my friends. I am Leo Laporte.
And I'm Martin Sargent, filling in for Kate Patello, who's got the whole week off.
The lucky girl.
I know.
Actually, what am I saying?
What are you talking about?
2 weeks vacation.
I've been working.
We want to thank you for helping out this week, Martin, by the way.
I
It's
love
nice
it.
to have you here. And we thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, we want to know, what are the coolest tools for the wired generation? We're going to take a look. We'll find out. Some cool. We always do cool tools.
It's always cool around here.
Always got cool tools.
Also,
Some extra special cool.
Also, though, even cooler, we're going to give you a clear picture of what you should look for when you're buying a digital camera right here on this very show.
Oh, this is actually, if you've been thinking about a digital camera, and I have, this is going to be everything you needed to know. Every feature, every buzzword.
The big buying guide right here.
You will go away from this going, I know. Then later, it's another one of those famous roundups, this time MP3s. Those MP3 players, we're going to look at them all. Man, I tell you what,
cool
if you miss this show, you're going to miss a passel of good stuff. That's coming up on Fresh Gear.
All right, now before we introduce the topic in today's chat room, we want to let you know the final results of our poll from last night. The question was, do you spend more time inside than you used to? Look at it. 82% say yes. 18% say no. I'm hoping that's because it's winter time.
Maybe it's just the winter. Maybe they thought that we meant them last summer.
Yeah. Get a lift ticket. Get outside. Come on, people.
All right, today's chat topic. Should the government give you a break? B-R-A-K-E. The reason we say that
is because over in merry old England, the Deputy Prime Minister, in association with Leeds University government-funded research, they're coming up with this new scheme that's going to stop speeding. Here's how they do it. They got GPS satellites, and they are going to hone in on your car, which are going to have transceivers in there somehow, so that they know when you have exceeded the speed limit. And if you exceed the speed limit, they're going to cut the gas going into your fuel pump. And your car's going to stop at 55 miles an hour, whatever the speed limit is.
That's terrible. What a horror. First of all,
they say it's a foregone conclusion it's going to happen.
They're going to do it in England.
Yeah.
First of all, it's unsafe.
It is.
What if you're passing a semi? The semi's going 60 miles an hour. And all of a sudden you're going 70, and you go.
I hear you.
It's bad news.
Maybe that would work over in England, but I don't think it's going to work in this country, with James Dean and the Cannonball Run and Dick Trickle. This is a speedy country. We got to move around
Dick
here.
Who?
Dick Trickle.
Who's Dick Trickle?
He's a great car racer.
NASCAR. All right.
Not Formula One.
I'm sorry. What can I say? I agree with you. I think this is a terrible idea. I'm surprised that they're even floating this idea. I was in Singapore a couple of years back, and they do kind of the same thing. Well, it's not as bad.
Well, you can't even chew gum in Singapore.
Oh, yeah. It's a police state, all right? A nice police state, but a police state nonetheless. And the cabbies all have these alarms so that when they go over the speed limit, it goes chime, 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 chime. What is the end result of that? You spend most of the time driving around in Singapore listening to chime, 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 because they don't go any slower. Just the alarm goes off.
At least you're not listening to police sirens. Well, it's a good idea in theory. There'll be a lot less deaths, but we want to know what you think. Why don't you go take our web poll, hit the screensavers.com, and while you're there, be sure to click on our Talkback feature to express your opinion to us and everyone else in the world over there in England, too.
Yeah. You can also give us a call on the telephone, 888-989-7879. Chat room is open and chatting freely at chat.zdnet.com. Screensavers room is kind of the big place to be.
All right. Now, of course, if you're on a Netcam and you want to ask us a question, the place to be is in the Netcam Cineplex. Who's in there hosting now? Let's take a look.
It's Margaret Thatcher. Martha Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher. What is that? It's the Queen. Hello.
Hello,
darling.
Lovey. Tea time.
And who's that? I can't tell.
That's
is that Bill Clinton? Why don't you leave the driving to me? He says. I'll drive. Hey, shotgun. So get in there, get in the Netcam Cineplex. You'll be talking to Roger.
And here's why. Here's the payoff. If you get on there, we're going to give you one of these magnets.
And you get one of these lovely magnets as seen on ZDTV. There she is with her lovely baby. We have no idea who.
Jenny Clark.
Well, that's Jenny Clark.
Hey, Jenny Clark. Come on.
I was on her diet for a while. So,
Monica,
let's go to Severia, who's joining us on the Netcam network from Buford, Georgia. Now, Severia, catch your magnet is coming to you.
Got it.
Oh, yeah. Whoa.
Got it.
She did.
Netcam is not that good now.
Hey, how you doing, Severia?
Fine, I'm doing great.
The Netcam's looking good. I have to say, this is a very, very nice picture. Cable modem?
That's what got it.
Yep.
And I'm using a camcorder also.
Makes a big difference. I can't tell you how good this is. You look every bit as good as you look better than we do.
Oh.
So what can we do for you today?
Well, my sister-in-law's company sold off some old computers at a steal price, but they are 486 ESA boards. And I want to know, first of all, they need a CD-ROM in them.
Right.
And I know you have to buy a controller card to connect that. They have SCSI hard drives in them, a 300-megabyte SCSI hard drive.
Oh, that's good.
And I wanted to know what kind of controller. Of course, it has to be 16-bit because it's ESA.
So you're saying not ISA, but EISA?
Well, according to what the specs say, they still have OS2 on them. I went through the operating system, and that's what kind of board it said it was.
Oh, my goodness. So these are 486s. They're EISA or ISA? You're saying ESA?
I think they're EISA.
Oh, my goodness. That was a bus standard that has long gone. It was really a server standard.
Yeah, you're going to have to take this one because this is long before
You weren't even born when ESA was around. I had, for a long time, a beautiful ESA-based 486 server that I loved dearly. Yeah. What I would suggest, and by the way, it had SCSI in it, too, and what I would suggest, Severia, rather than going out and getting a new IDE controller. I don't even know if you could find an ESA card anymore, to be honest with you.
ISA wouldn't work?
No.
ISA wouldn't work?
No. ESA is different than ISA.
Okay.
In fact, if you look at the slot, now most ESA motherboards had ISA slots also.
Okay.
So what you want to look in there is the ESA slots, I think, used to be black, and the ISA slots should be white. So, but I'm not sure. Or maybe brown. You have to look in there.
Now, they did have like four brown slots.
Yeah. I think there may be a mix of ISA and ESA. There usually were. So if you could find an ISA slot, yes, you can go out and still buy, and it's cheap, a $20 or $30 IDE card for ISA and a CD. But since you've already got the SCSI in there, you might want to do is just buy a SCSI CD-ROM. And if you bought on that machine, what you want to do is you want to go to, you know how they have pick and pull for car parts? You want to go to a pick and pull for computer parts.
That's right.
Where you can get an old 4X or an 8X CD-ROM, which should cost you nothing.
Because the new SCSI CD-ROM is going to be probably a little bit
pricey.
Expensive.
Yes, right.
They are.
But if you find an old...
We had a deal here in our local company, USA, for IDE CD-ROMs, and I went out and bought 4 of those.
Oh, you already got them. All right. Well, you already got them. So, yeah, you should be able to find... First thing to do is make sure that you can get an ISA card in there, okay? If you have an old ISA card on one of your other computers, see if you can fit it in the slot. If you can fit it in, it's an ISA slot, okay? The ESA slot is physically different. So if you can fit it in, then you know you can support ISA. Most of these old motherboards that had ESA also had ISA. Just like now we have PCI and ISA. They mix them together. So find an ISA slot. You can find CompUSA will have 20 or 30... Pardon me?
I saw some on the web at Price Watch, ISA cards for $10.
That's right. Basically, an ISA IDE card or any IDE card is really very little circuitry. It's mostly just an interface card because of the way IDE drives work. Most of the hardware, firmware, and hardware is on the drive itself. So the card is just an interface. $10 sounds too good to be true. It's not. That's really what they're worth. So go out and get a cheap IDE card, and you should be all right.
And I could also, whoever, because we got 3 of them, we're going to give them to people that can't really afford to buy a computer or whatever.
That's so cool.
Good for you.
If they wanted to upgrade the hard drive later, they could use that IDE. If I get one with two controllers on it.
Absolutely. They all come with 2 controllers. Actually, they all come with support for 4 drives. So you'll have 2 channels, and each channel will have capable of connecting 2 drives. So you would put the hard drive on one and the CD on another channel. And, yeah, they could even add something else if they wanted to. The real thing you're going to want to look at, Severia, is RAM. Now, I don't know how much RAM those are coming with, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be more like 16 megabytes.
Yeah, I think it was.
So in order to run any modern operating system, you're going to try to run Windows on this?
Probably 95 at least.
Yeah, to run 95, you're going to want to get as much memory as you can in there, and probably be limited to 32 megs. But I think it's wonderful you're doing it. I've done the same thing. I took an old 486 server, I upgraded the RAM, and got some more. And you know what? It runs Windows 95 great. The family who got it is using it like crazy. It's a really wonderful thing to do. I commend you for doing it. It's great. And if you have any trouble at all, will you just send me some personal email, and I'll try to help you out. Okay.
Okay. And I need an autographed picture from you, Kate, and also your friend
The
name.
tall guy, my friend, that you don't even know his name. Okay.
Well,
You got it.
his name.
Martin. His name is Martin. I will send you. We will make sure Martin and Kate and Leo get autographs to you. Hang on the line. We'll get your address. And I'm sincere, Severia. If you have any questions or trouble, I want to help you out on this. It's such a great project. Just email me and I'll get in touch with you. Okay?
All right.
All right. Thank you for doing that.
Calling.
Take care. Hang on the line now. We're going to get your address.
All right, now after the break, we're going to give you some
tall guy, Mark.
We're going to give you some tips on what to look for when you're buying a digital camera when the Screensavers with Mark and Leo continues.
Coming up on the next Screensavers, and they're coming around the last bend.
It's USB and SCSI CDRs, neck and neck.
How fast can USB and CDRs plug and play?
Will it keep up with SCSI CD recordable drives?
It's a race to the wire. USB, SCSI, CDRs,
And the
USB,
winner
SCSI,
is-
USB, SCSI. On the next. Coming up on the next Screensavers, and they're coming around the last bend.
It's USB, SCSI CDRs, they're neck and neck.
How fast can USB and CDRs slants and play?
Will it keep up with SCSI CD recordable drives?
It's a race to the finish. USB and SCSI CDRs, USB and SCSI,
And the
USB
winner
and SCSI. On the next Screensavers.
I'm sorry.
Coming up on the next Screensavers, and they're coming around the last bend.
It's USB and SCSI CDRs, neck and neck.
How fast can USB and CDRs play and close?
Courtesy of the ZDNet software library, presenting this week's top downloads. At number 5, a free graphics editor, VCW Vickman's Photo Editor.
Oh, yeah.
Still on the list, and in at the number 4 spot, ICQ, the 32-bit version. One notch down, and in third place, WinZip, the 32-bit version. And this week's runner-up, the ever-popular Paint Shop Pro. And holding steady is the number 1 top download, Gozilla, Gozilla, go, Gozilla. You can download any of these files from the ZDNet software library at hotfiles.com. My favorite on that list.
I'll tell you that right now. What?
Paint
Vickman.
Shop Pro. I don't know no Vickman.
Who's
Paint
Vickman?
Shop Pro?
Yeah, that's
I
a good
use
pro.
that almost.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Not my favorite, but it's hey free.
Hey, free.
Well, it's not exactly free. You gotta end up paying for it after a while.
Yeah, I guess you do.
Yeah. Oh, it's no bikini screensaver. Let's face it. We got an email, don't we?
Yeah, we got one from Issa. She asks,
Yeah.
I'm looking into buying a digital camera, aren't we all? Could you explain what's good and
man.
what's bad about them relative to traditional film cameras, and also what features I should look for when buying?
Now, do you have one of these?
I do not have one.
Me
of these.
neither.
I have used them extensively. I don't personally own one.
Use
when
a
I
film
am on
camera.
vacation, I use a film camera.
Me
How
too.
about you?
Me too.
Well,
I'm
let's
a
talk
film
about
guy.
the differences, the advantages
All right.
between
What are the advantages of a digital camera?
Well, first of all, there is an LCD on the back, a liquid crystal display. Of course, when you snap a picture, you can immediately, seconds afterward, tell if it's a good picture or not by looking at the LCD. There's
Right.
no card in this one, so you can't see the image, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Problem
Well,
is,
that's
of
great.
course, they're always less than 2 inches high, and you can't really tell for sure whether it's a good shot or not, but you do get an idea. Of course, also, you don't have to go to the photo lab or the
Right.
photomat. Even an hour-long photomat, that's still the hassle. You still got to wait for it to develop. With these, you just download them to the computer.
Well,
Now,
not to mention the price that you're saving. But that's also the disadvantage,
Exactly.
frankly, and that's why my wife won't let me buy one of these. She says she wants the prints. Now, that can be gotten around these days with the modern printers and these new websites like Shutterfly where you can upload the picture and they'll send you a print. Nonetheless, she likes the prints.
And the prints look better. I don't care if it's a 2-megapixel camera. There is nothing like the
a real
warmth of real photo.
Absolutely,
as far
it
as
does
I'm
look
concerned.
better. There's also one other disadvantage that you really should keep in mind.
Yes.
When you're taking a picture with these, on some of them, not all of them, there's a delay between the time you push the button, 1, 2, and the time it takes the picture, which often messes me up because I'll take the picture, put the camera down, and then it takes a picture of the
Exactly.
of the
This has
table.
happened
instead
many
of
times.
you.
And when you don't have an LCD on the back, that can be a real
You don't know
problem.
you've taken a bad
So what features should you look for when you're shopping for these things? One of the main things, of course, is the resolution of the images. Generally, you want to get the highest resolution possible, which nowadays is 2.11 megapixels. Now, that's jargon term. What does megapixel mean? It means over 2 million pixels. Little points of light, 2 million of them all put together. As you can imagine, that's going to be a really sharp picture.
And you get that by multiplying height time.
Right.
So these are like 1280 by 1024.
Right, so 1600 by 1200
That would be
would be
2
almost 2 million,
Okay.
.92 million.
Got it.
When you're shopping, don't go below 1 megapixel. There's no reason to nowadays. They're cheap enough. You can probably afford it.
A real photo, by the way, is more like, if you took a negative and scanned it in, more like 8 megapixels, 9, 10 megapixels. That'll give you some idea. You get about 1/4 the resolution of a real.
And of course, it takes a lot of space, and that brings us to storage media.
Storage.
What do you? It's not like you have film in here. You need something else to store it on. There's two types that are generally used. Both are solid-state storage. The main one is called compact flash.
That's this
That's
here.
the white one that Leo's holding, about the size of an Andes Dinner Mint and the thickness.
And nearly as tasty.
And this one here holds 8 megabytes, but they go all the way up to 160 megabytes. Now, of course, you're going to pay for something that big, about $3 to $4 a megabyte, which is going to cost you about $700 for one that big. You don't need one that big, though, because you can erase the images off there when you're done, up to 1 million times, they say. Of course, I haven't gotten there yet.
Well, that comes up with another negative. You take this on a long trip, you might find you need several of these.
You are going to
store all
need
your
several
photos,
of those,
and
unless you're somehow downloading them and sending them back over
take
the
a
internet.
notebook
You
with
could
you or
do
something.
that, yeah.
Right.
The other one, in Leo's other hand, is Smart Media, developed by Toshiba. Pretty much the same idea. Thinner, sort of like a communion wafer type thing. Not quite the capacity. Maxes out at 32 megabytes, but hey, that's pretty much enough for most of us.
Okay. So do I personally prefer the Andes Mint over the communion wafer, mainly because this goes up such high density, so you can get more, and because it is an IDE-like interface, it actually plugs and plays in a lot more devices than merely cameras.
And it's a little sturdier, but don't be fooled. That communion wafer, you can put those through the wash, and they're still going to work.
Just don't put them in your mouth.
All
right. So that's
one more
storage.
thing, though. One more thing.
Oh, there's
floppy
a third
disk.
choice.
Floppy
Yeah.
disk. The Sony Mavic, and this is why this camera is so darn popular, stores on a floppy disk. Of course, that's only about 1.5 megabytes. Not going to be able to store too many images on there, but the beauty is so easy to transfer those images right into your PC.
And these cost, just a few pennies, so you can have hundreds of these on your trip. This also will store video, which is nice. You can store 5 seconds of MPEG video on a floppy. So.
No, it's like 30 or 60.
Oh, really?
Seconds.
That much?
Yeah, they compress it way down.
The disadvantage of that is it takes a while to write to these floppies, a few seconds in between photos. That can be really annoying if you want to take a lot of pictures one after the other.
Of course, going along with the media is the interface that you use to actually get the images over there.
Yeah.
My favorite is USB. The Kodak camera that I have here has a USB interface on it, as does that HP there. The beauty of USB is you plug it into your computer. Of course, it's immediately recognized, and it's a very quick process of downloading the images to your computer, much faster than a serial port.
We really think that if you're going to get one of these cameras, don't struggle along with serial. Either get USB or get a device, an adapter that will take one of these memory cards, like the Flash Path adapter for the Smart Media, or a compact flash reader that will then USB it in. And that makes it much, much, much better to do that.
Exactly. And then there's a mixed bag of other things you want to think about, such as zoom. There's two types of zooms that you've got on a digital camera. There's optical and there's digital. Optical zoom is the type you have on a real film camera. It actually uses physics and lenses to magnify the image. Digital is sort of faking it. It's done electronically, sort of like when you blow up an image in a software program. Okay? Not as sharp when you do it that way, but you're going to have a much bigger zoom quality. Like this one has a 16x zoom. There's no optical zoom that can go that high.
That's a pretty good zoom. I mean, we're zooming in on Simon there. And that's neat. Yeah, optical's usually 3 to 6, right? And then it adds and interpolates. So the quality's not as good. I have to say, though, having a good zoom is nice. None of the lenses on these cameras are as good as you'd get. I mean, this is a Nikon,
Although the Nikon, this is the only one that we have here that you can actually put other types of lenses,
threads.
wide angle, fisheye, that sort of professional film lens that you can just snap on there and get that professional feeling when you're snapping the picture.
Still not quite the quality that you'd get on an SLR camera.
Just a couple other things you might want to look out for. A TV out feature. This is really cool because you plug it into the TV, and then you got the pictures up on the TV, put a VCR tape in there, and then you can tape sort of like a whole slideshow.
Isn't that cool?
Isn't that neat? I like to do that.
Yeah.
And another thing...
the Kodak does that, by the way.
Yeah, another thing that Leo mentioned before is the MPEG video. There's only a couple cameras that can do that, but still pretty neat, especially if you want to send video email.
So those are all the terms you'll be thinking about. When you add it all together, a couple of negatives we didn't mention. Battery life is terrible on these. You're going to want to look for rechargeables so that you don't end up going through tons of batteries all at once. And we didn't mention, but you're going to be spending a lot more money than you would be for a standard point-and-shoot camera, between $500 and $1,000 for a good camera.
Sure. So in the long run, if you use a whole lot of film, these might be cost-effective, but for you and me, the general photo user, I still say the film cameras are the way to go.
I have to say, I love taking my prints. And, you know, if you do any darkroom processing, there's just nothing like getting your hands wet in that stuff. It turns it all white and weird.
All right. I hope that answers your question. There's a whole lot more information about all these terms we just batted around on the website.
Yeah. Great stuff, Martin. Thank you for doing that. And I have to say, I'm still on the fence on these things, but I think I like the Nikon Coolpix, and eventually I will get one of these. Maybe not right away. Folks, Martin's heading into a chat. Up next, the author of Informatica 1.0, Peter Black, will share his guide for the coolest tools of the wired generation when the screensavers continues. Look at that. That's cool. Ooh. It's a toolkit. TheScreenSavers.com. Yeah, it's the best place for more information about what's on the show. And if you like Linux, our Linux Super Guide is heaven on earth. And CDTV's home for all things Linux. What is Linux? What's the best place to begin? Find out. It's all there at thescreensavers.com. So the coolest hardware, the coolest software, resources, and much more rolled into one comprehensive encyclopedia. Does that sound like something you'd like? Well, here to tell us all about it, the author of Informatica 1.0, Peter Black. Welcome to the Screensavers, Peter. This reminded me a whole bunch of the Whole Earth catalog. In fact, you even have that famous globe picture on the front that Stuart Brand put on the cover of the Whole Earth
Yeah, got a copy of the fact that it's calculated, but it was inspired by the Whole Earth catalog, and the difference is no chemical toilets, no backpacking gear.
However, times have changed, and you've got everything in here that the modern digital age...
Essentially, it's for people who would like to be geeks but don't have time.
Cool. So all the coolest stuff. This must have been fun writing.
It was really fun writing.
Yeah.
I mean, I run a business, and that isn't fun all the time. This was fun.
How did you choose this stuff? I mean, it's books, it's web pages, it's software, it's hardware.
You know, I could have chosen a bazillion different things.
Right.
But the idea is I looked at things that people want to do or want to find out about, and I tried to choose the best of class.
So in each case, this is the best of
the
whatever
best exemplary of a particular thing. For example, and we'll look at this a little bit later.
At some hardware, yeah.
But of laptops,
right.
I looked at the things that people do with laptops and what make people's lives miserable about laptops.
Yes.
What's the most miserable thing that ever happens to a laptop?
They break.
That's right. You drop it, you pay $2,000 for a new screen.
Yeah.
What would you like to have? A laptop that doesn't break.
All right.
Well, there's somebody who makes one.
That's cool. We're going to see that in just a second. You brought some of the stuff fun. Now, this I'm sure was hard to narrow it down to just a few items, but you have managed to narrow it down a little bit. Let's start with the Sony camera.
Well, this thing is spectacular. It's called the TRV 900.
Okay.
If you look in the
it looks just like a regular camcorder.
Yeah, and essentially what it is, everything in the book is version 2.0.
Okay.
In other words, version 1.0.
Never buy 1.0.
In the history of the world.
Never.
Software, hardware.
No.
Version 1.0 always stinks up the room.
That's right.
Okay?
Right.
So we look for the version 2.0 of everything. PC Magazine this month says that this is one of the best new products of 1999, and it is.
You liked it. Now, what makes this so good? First of all, it's a digital video, right?
Digital video.
Okay. So
FireWire hooks up to all the things that do FireWire.
You got the FireWire ports on the back.
Okay. It's got digital video effects built into it. Mm-hmm. It's got a zoom lens plus digital zoom, what you were talking about with the stills before.
Right.
It will record not only streaming video, but it comes with an adapter and a floppy drive, so it becomes a still camera as well.
So this adapter goes in the camera.
Yeah.
And I can copy the data off of here.
It goes like... not like that.
It's a PC card almost.
It is a PC card. That's precisely what it is. I'm putting it in the wrong way. But it goes in like that, and all of a sudden, all of the stills that you've taken, you can take out the stills or streaming video onto a floppy, just like the Mavic cameras.
Oh, wow.
And into your computer.
Oh, that's
Does
neat.
both.
Oh, I love that.
Does both.
Good quality stills?
Beautiful stills, and the lens is not only an excellent lens, but it's stabilized.
So you know, for the hand.
That's exactly right.
Okay, that's great. We actually have a videotape of this. You actually took camera. You took some videotape for us
this morning when I came up from Los Angeles. I took some video of there's a deck that goes along with this. You can hook them both together.
Okay.
With FireWire, and it becomes an editing system. That's on my desk at home. It uses DV cassettes. That's the deck. That's the control panel.
So people are now really capable of doing broadcast video quality editing at home. How much is the camera itself?
The camera's around $2,000 street price.
And how much is the editing?
The deck is around $3,500 street price.
Wow.
If you had bought an A/B cut system with all these,
hundreds of thousands.
No, not hundreds, maybe $45,000.
Okay, $45,000. All right.
But enough to make it a little bit worrisome in a family budget.
This is great. $2,000 for this camera. You think somebody looking at a new camcorder would go with this instead of something other?
Well, you know, it depends on what you can tolerate in terms of a price.
It's a little expensive.
If you're going to do stuff that you're going to use
That's
going to be of some value. And you want a system that you're going to be able to stick with for some time.
Yeah.
And remember, one of the worst things about new technology is it obsolesces.
Right.
This stuff ain't going to obsolesce too soon.
And then what's this here? You've got a little teensy-weensy thing here. This is the Rex Pro? No, that's your driver's license.
And that you don't get.
Well, all right, we won't show your driver's license, but we will show the Rex Pro.
The Rex Pro, look, everybody's got a Palm Pilot. Everybody loves Palm Pilots.
Right.
They're great things. I hate them. They're too big.
This is a PC card.
It's in effect a PC card. This thing sees this as a memory card.
The notebook would just see this as a memory card.
My Microsoft Outlook has over 2,000 contacts in it.
Right.
The usual array of garbage that has to do with scheduling and tasks. I download all of that stuff and update it in a matter of a couple of minutes straight into that thing. It goes into the PC card.
Now, this is not a touch screen, we should say. You don't enter data into this
No, you got
thing.
these. Oh, you can if you want. It's a little bit inelegant.
Yeah.
But I think if you sit doing all that weird stuff with a Palm Pilot, you're nuts too.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It doesn't know how to read your writing. You learn how to read its
What's
writing.
great, though, is you've been carrying this around like this.
That's right.
It's tiny. That's great.
And you want to know something brilliant about this? The replacement policy, you put it in this pocket, you're bound to crush it.
You sit on it, absolutely.
That's right. The replacement policy is $75, no questions asked, they'll send you a new one.
Oh, that's good. How much does it cost new?
Well, as a matter of fact, because the guys who make this used to be Franklin, they just sold the whole business to Zircom.
Right.
You know who Zircom is?
Sure, they make the PC cards.
Yeah, they make the PC cards. Got one of them in there.
Yeah.
They just bought this stuff up, so the old Franklin ones are on the market now. Way down in price before the Zircoms are
Shop around for the
get a great price.
Okay, good. Now, finally, you mentioned dropping the notebook. Is this the notebook? I remember Bill Gates a couple of years ago at Cardex had a Marine jumping on a notebook. I wonder if this is the one he was doing.
If you're remembering the right context, it was Gina Smith doing an ABC News feed, and she showed a Humvee.
Driving over it.
Yeah, I was on that segment. One of my products was on that segment.
I love it.
Essentially, this thing is not quite as sturdy as that one. That's the Toughbook CF25, if I remember correctly.
I've seen that one, yeah.
But this thing is built to the same standards. The hard drive is gel encased.
It's a ruggedized notebook. Is that the idea? Okay.
Ruggedized notebook. It's better than the things that you hear called ruggedized notebooks because it's really, truly ruggedized.
Right.
And check this out. They believe in what they say. You don't carry this around in a bag.
Right.
You carry it around like this. When I take this on a plane, I'd simply slop it under the seat. Now, I don't tempt fate and use it as a football.
Right.
But by the same token, it is really sturdy.
It does feel that way, yeah.
I don't worry about that.
Glad you did that.
Well, I'll do it the other side, too. I don't worry about stuff like that.
That's great.
Now, I'm not going to drop it on concrete floor from 5 feet. That used to be what people called the Japanese technique of repairing hardware. If you dropped it from 5 feet on concrete, if it worked, it worked. If it didn't work, it never would. Kind of the binary technique.
That's interesting. On or off, yeah. How much is this?
That thing, the interesting thing is Panasonic doesn't want to sell this to the consumer. They only like selling it to institutionals.
Right.
So you got to hunt for it.
Right.
But if you go on places like Value America, you can find prices for it. It's around $3,500.
That's what you pay for a good laptop anyway.
Well, and the amount of sleep that you'll get every night, additionally, not worrying about breaking a $2,000 touchscreen.
The book is Informatica 1.0, access to the best tools for mastering the information revolution. Peter is the author. What are you pointing at? This is the one, Peter M. Black, and I thank you so much, Peter, for coming by and showing us all of this. You've answered my questions, and now he's going to head to the chat room to answer your questions, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, some wonderful technologies. While you're on the web, visit our website for Peter's tips on how to buy software and get some of the good deals he's talking about. That's at thescreensavers.com. Don't start flipping, folks. Still to come on this very show. You've heard of MP3, but find out if something called SDMI is going to leave MP3 technology in the dust. Also, what we do best, more answers to your toughest computer questions. Plus, if you decide to go with the MP3 route, we're going to take a look at the MP3 players and find out which one's best for you. All that and more as the Screensavers rolls on. Welcome back to the Screensavers. Leo Laporte here.
And I'm Martin Sargent in for Kate Patello. Taking the week off.
Yes, lucky girl. She's checking the compatibility of her Etch-a-Sketch with the Y2K.
That's what she was doing yesterday.
Well, she's got to keep working on that. It may be a long week ahead. Hey, by the way, Severia called at the beginning of the show, wanted to know about her ISA slots, wanted to know if she could put an ISA card in there. I said, no, I was wrong.
And you can.
You can. One of the features of ISA, it's been so long I've forgotten, was that it supports ISA cards. So you could put that ISA card right in the ISA slot, all right?
All right.
Moving along, we're chatting about the government. In the UK, we're asking, should the government give you a break?
And what we're talking about is satellite systems. They're going to be able to monitor how fast you're going. If you're going too fast, they cut the fuel pump, sort of, electronically. And you
slow
can't
you down.
go any faster.
They're proposing this right now in Britain.
Yeah, you're serious.
As a way of controlling people's speed. I can't imagine. I mean, people complain so much about radar speed traps.
Sure.
Which is, I mean, this would be...
Can you imagine the stink this would cause in this country?
It never happened here.
Never happen.
Or would it?
Huh.
What do you think? Is this a good idea or a bad idea? You take our web poll at thescreensavers.com. While you're there, click on the Talkback feature and let the government know what you think about that notion.
The dang government! Okay.
Yeah.
Jump in the chat room. It's at chat.zdnet.com.
Michael joins us right now from Manchester, Connecticut, our next caller. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Leo.
Say hi to Martin.
Well, I just want to know, what is dial-up server?
That's right, Martin. Dial-up server! Dial-up server! Hey, dial-up! What are you turning around for? Dial-up server, you've probably noticed it in your Windows system. Is that why you asked?
Yeah, I was installing.
Yeah, I'll show you real quickly. If you do the Add Remove Program control panel and you click on Windows Setup, Windows can install, it doesn't install by default, but it can install a dial-up server along with the dial-up networking stuff that it installs. And what dial-up server does, and if you look in the communications, actually we've actually installed it, dial-up server. What dial-up server does is allows people to access your computer via modem. So if you put you turn it on, your modem will automatically go into auto answer mode, and people can then call your phone number. Your modem will pick up. Let's see here if we've got if I can configure it. Your modem will pick up, and you will then be they'll log in just as they would log into an internet service provider, and then they'll be able to see your system and download files and so forth and so on.
And of course, the reason this is cool is not only for other people to do this. So if, say, you're on the road somewhere, you're away, you can get into your computer when you're far.
So you want to know how to set it up?
Yeah.
I have no idea. The truth is I've never used it. Traditionally I'll use tools like LapLink or PC Anywhere for this kind of thing.
I
And
was looking everywhere.
yeah, pardon me?
I was looking everywhere for it. I don't know.
Yeah, where to say? We've got it installed, so it should show up here somewhere, shouldn't it?
I would think so.
I went to communications dial-up networking, and that seems to me to be the best place. I did it once before on the show, and for the life of me, I cannot remember how I did it. It's one of those things. I'll tell you what. Let me mess around with a computer for a little bit.
Okay.
Before the end of the show, I will figure it out, or somebody in our chat room will tell us. Dave, you remember how to set up dial-up server?
I've never actually set it myself.
Yeah, it's one of those things people don't use that often.
Yeah, I've seen some websites out there that give you really clear step-by-step directions on how to do it. You might want to search for them, or right after the show, I'll take a look. I think I know where it is, and I'll put the URL for you.
And somebody in the chat room is shouting right now, I know how to do it! So we'll find an answer for you, Michael, and before the show's over, we'll have it for you, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for talking to us. Are you going to help us out here? Is he going to help us out here?
I think he's going to take us to break. Isn't that right?
You going to do that?
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it, Michael.
Okay. Thanks, Martin and Leo. Get a long little digital doggy. It's an MP3 roundup when the screensavers come back.
Yeah, Martin.
Get along,
yeah, Michael.
doggy.
Get along.
Take the Screensavers Online Super Geek Challenge to learn more about your favorite toy, the computer. This week, how much do you know about the care and feeding of your computer? Take the quiz and find out. Follow thescreensavers.com.
Oh, yeah, and congratulations to Vanessa from Orange, Texas, the winner of yesterday's Super Geek quiz. She's got herself a T-shirt or a fabulous bandolero. If you want to...
And, of course, if you want one of those, just be sure to fill out the form after you've taken the quiz for your chance to win a bandolero.
I'm sorry, that's a toque. Isn't that?
A toque. Yeah.
T-O-Q-U-E. As promised, here's Sumi Das with a look at 3 different high-profile MP3 players on today's Fresh Gear.
Portable MP3 players have hit the market in full force this year and proved to be a great gift idea for the online music geek in your life. We reviewed every player we could get our hands on and came up with 3 that stood out from the crowd. The Diamond Rio was one of the first players out on the market. Their latest, the Rio 500, has what all the other players lack, a USB connection which drastically reduces the time it takes to download music from your computer. It'll also please Apple fans by supporting the G3 and iMac. Available in 32 and 64 megabyte versions, the Rio 500 also has a slot for a removable smart media card to hold even more tunes. The Rio Audio Manager software does a great job compressing your audio CD files into MP3. It also makes downloading and organizing your music files pretty easy. Another portable player we like this year is the Creative Nomad. The Nomad is the only MP3 player we know with an integrated FM radio, and the first shipping unit we've seen with a built-in voice recorder. Like the Rio, the Nomad has 32 and 64 megabyte versions and includes a smart media slot to pack in more music. We like the circular LCD panel that scrolls the artist's name and song titles. Unfortunately, the buttons on the sides of the Nomad are tiny and can be tough to use. The Creative Nomad and the Diamond Rio 500 both cost $200, while RCA's Lyra portable MP3 player will cost a little more, about $250 for a 64 megabyte version. Unlike the Nomad and the Rio 500, the Lyra uses compact flash for memory. That means it can store more music than the smart media-based players, at least if you can afford to purchase the memory modules. A 128 megabyte compact flash card costs nearly $300, also available in 32 and 64 meg versions. That wraps up our portable MP3 player gift ideas. MP3 players are fun to listen to and make perfect gifts.
Of course, you can catch a new Fresh Gear every Friday afternoon at 1:30, 12:30 Central, right here on ZDTV.
So I got an email. Did you know that?
We did.
We did.
This guy named Kevin.
You knew that.
I know.
Yes, he asks, I'm planning on buying an MP3 player, but I just read about SDMI. Should I wait or buy now? Well, it's a suitable follow-up to what Sumi was just talking about. To MP3 or not to MP3? When the Screensavers continues. We got an email from Kevin. Wants to know about this MP3 player, whether he should get SDMI or not. Now, you notice, should he wait or buy now? You notice that the MP3 players that Sumi was talking about, including her Diamond Rio 500 that she liked the best, do not include SDMI.
That's right.
Now, let's talk about what SDMI is, okay?
What is it? Secure Digital Music Initiative.
Very good.
Hey.
Here's the lovely, I must say, SDMI website. They must have had a 12-year-old design this. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. The SDMI initiative actually comes from the Recording Industry Association of America.
Sony developed it.
Well, Sony's involved, but the much-loathed Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, is actually what's behind it. Okay. It's because they're mad that people are not buying records. They're downloading the files, trading them, violating copyright and so forth using MP3.
Sure.
So they want to come up with a form of MP3 that they can lock. So here's the situation. You go to a website, you buy a song, an SDMI song, right? Mm-hmm. It is encrypted in such a way that it will only play on your computer. You hold the key. I can't give it to you. Can't give it to anybody else. If the key's on my player, I can play it on my player, and that's it. It's a way of safeguarding the record company.
Well, that's all well and good, but that's only going to work if the only music that is ever released is going to come out in this new SDMI format.
Bingo,
right?
my tall friend.
MP3 isn't going anywhere. It's not outlawed.
So what happens now? Let's go back in our scenario. The Talking Heads, no, they're an old group. You're a young guy. What's a hip new happening thing? Frank Sinatra. So Frank Sinatra releases a song on, Sinatra.com in SDMI format, right? I download it. Now, the minute that song comes out on CD, 1 million people digitize it in the old non-encrypted MP3 format, upload it. It's all over the world. Doesn't matter. I've got the lovely SDMI format. Only I can play it. If my hard drive gets formatted by accident, I have to reapply and get a new key. There's all sorts of problems associated with this. It's not the first time the industry tried to come up with this. A2B.
Oh, sure.
A2B, same exact thing. There are a lot of different formats. Microsoft itself has its own format built into the Windows Media Player that is encrypted to protect the record industry.
Well, you know what this smacks of?
What is this?
It smacks of DivX.
It is DivX Redux.
Of course, DivX is that the thing that came out to compete with DVDs. What was it, Circuit City who came up with it? And the only way you could play one of these things was to pay for it. And then you would only get it for like 48 hours, and the thing would go, boop, you couldn't play it anymore.
So what happened? Consumers said we prefer an open standard DVD. DivX died. Yeah. DivX is gone. If you were silly enough to buy a DivX player, you're out of luck.
But, if they had gotten the support of Hollywood, the complete support, then it would have worked. So that's the only way this is going to work. If the music industry says the only way we're going to release music is on SDMI, then it might work. But If they still do it, putting out CDs and stuff, no way.
So your question is, should I wait for SDMI or not? I think MP3 is basically here to stay. There's no compelling reason I could think of right now that you need SDMI unless songs are only released in SDMI format. We don't think that's likely. Music industry's too greedy to do that. They're going to want to put out CDs. The
one reason you might want to wait is that the SDMI players do have the capability to play other compressed music formats such as MP3. Right. But you're not going to see any of these players around for a while, so you may as well go get an MP3 player now and enjoy it.
And now I see that David is waving at us frantically. Are you telling me something about Frank Sinatra? He's no longer with us?
Actually, no, the only main thing I wanted to say is that they're developing SDMI to be an open standard, so they want anyone who wants to create music can create it. SDMI can be protected or it cannot be protected, and so they want anyone to be able to create it. The thing is, it has to be created exclusively if it's going to be copy protected.
Right.
And
of course, anybody can. Yes, it's not. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's not. You may say Sony. Yes, Sony's behind it, but it's not owned by any one company. It's the recording industry that's promoting this thing. It's not going to. Well, all right. Yes, Peter. What do you have to say about this?
One thing about this initiative, and that is it's finally made by lawyers.
Oh, that'll work.
Lawyers made this. It's bound to fail.
Yes, we agree. All right. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, David. Do you want me to quickly do this? All right. We have, who was it that asked us about the dial-up server? When in doubt, read the manual. When in doubt, go to the help file. It's a very simple thing. I just don't know why my brain didn't think of this right up front. If you type dial-up server in here, and you're actually dial-up networking in here, and you go down to servers, you'll get a step-by-step instructions on how to turn on your dial-up servers. I was close. I just didn't go to the right menu. You go to dial-up networking. Actually, I'll just double-click my computer. Go to dial-up networking. It's good TV, isn't it? Go to the connections menu, and there it is at the bottom. If you've installed a dial-up server, and you'll find all the settings here. No caller access. Allow caller access. Make sure you use a good password, not a dictionary word, because that will give people access to your system if you turn this on, all right? And this is how you set it up. You can change the server type and so forth. Very simple to do.
Pretty simple.
Do it from the dial-up networking control panel. Just use the connections menu, and you'll see dial-up server right there. Okay? Okay. Help file. Why didn't we think of that?
Calling all third geeks, calling all third geeks. Record your own video email and send it to us. There's instructions in your scripts waiting for you at thescreensavers.com. Just click on Interact to find out more. Now here's Tony from Las Vegas, Nevada. Take it away, Tony.
Don't touch that dial. The Screensavers will be right back.
Welcome back to the Screensavers, the preliminary results of today's web poll. 96% of you say, no, the government should not give us a break. Hands off my accelerator. Don't touch that throttle. You still have 24 hours to vote at thescreensavers.com. What a surprise. Our libertarian audience said no.
Of course, this here is the part of the show when we like to share some of the hundreds and hundreds of emails we get every day.
I started this one yesterday. I have to finish it. It's from John, who is a network technician at MHTC.net, which I think is a web or internet service provider. It is. He's a regional ISP. He says, Dear Kate and Leo, Martin too. Says that right there. What's the deal with Win modems, a.k.a. software-based modems? When is a reputable journalist like yourselves finally going to tell everyone in plain language, these modems are junk? They shouldn't be called modems. They should be called something like software-based modem emulator with telephone line interface.
Word.
I work for a regional internet service provider where I provide tech support. He says he is tired of hearing customers tell him that a 16-year-old kid at CompUSA told him their LT Win modem or Rockwell HSP modem is the best modem available because it has V.90. And then in the same breath are told, you must just have a bad ISP. Anyway, this guy does tech support at ISPs. And you know what, John? You just haven't watched the show long enough. We have slammed Win modems over and over again. We've told you not to buy them, not only because they don't work very well, but also because they don't work with anything but Windows. And you know we're big fans of other operating systems. So, yeah, stay away from software-based modems. Spend the extra money. Get a hardware-based modem. If you need a PCI, the Action Tech, hardware-based, very good modem. And most external modems, almost all external modems, are hardware-based.
Justin wants to know, what's the difference between CD rewritable and CD writable drives when burning CDs. Well, the difference is the writable ones, they're just write once, you burn it, you can't go back and burn anymore. CD rewritable, you don't like what you burn to it, you can go back and write right over it. The difference technologically is in the way the disc is molded. With one, it burns through the dye layer. With another, the CD rewritable, it actually melts the surface of the disc. That's it.
So the rewrite it unmelts it and melts it and melts it?
Yeah, it's called the crystalline stage and the amorphous stage.
That's cool.
Pretty neat stuff.
Neat stuff. Ricky Nelson writes, I love Ricky Nelson. That's good to hear from you.
You're thinking of Ricky Martin.
Oh, yeah, right. La Vida Loco. Which graphics card delivers better gaming performance, if the same, then which has more features making it a better value? The ATI Rage Fury Max or the GeForce 256? Actually, that's a great question. The ATI Rage Fury Max we saw at Comdex, and basically what they've done is they've taken two Rage 128 chips and put them together on a single card, giving what looked like pretty good performance, but we haven't got them yet in the lab, so we can't give you official results. Those who I've talked to have tested both the Rage Fury Max and the GeForce say that the GeForce does still edge out the Max. On the other hand, there are a lot of nice features on all of these ATI cards. I like the All-in-Wonder Pro, things like that. So the Rage Fury Max will certainly be a good choice for a lot of people, and I guess if I had to choose, I'd say a GeForce 256 DDR, the new double data rate. Want to thank Peter Black from Informatica 1.0 and his website. What's the name of the website? eTronica.com. We're going to check that out. I thank you for coming by, Peter. And thank you, Martin, for filling in for Kate. We'll see you tomorrow. That's it for this edition of the Screensavers. I'm Leo Laporte.
And I'm Martin Sargent. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Screensavers.
Martin! I'm Martin Sargent.